Hello guys, and welcome back to Netmaster Zone channel. In this video I'm going to configure the GlobalProtect, the remote access VPN in Palo Alto. And here I'm going to configure that in Palo Alto and in the interface 1x6, and we will verify that using this Windows PC here. For the configuring the GlobalProtect or remote access VPN, I just create a checklist here, and we can follow this checklist to actually complete our configuration without any fault. First of all, we need to generate our GlobalProtect certificate for server authentication when a PC wants to connect to the server, and in this case is the Palo Alto. In that case, first of all, they just send and receive a certificate information between each other to make sure that the certificate is correct. Then after the certificate, we need to create a LDAP server profile, and in this case we are going to authenticate the user. We need to type the username and password, and after the authentication then we will have access to the GlobalProtect or to the remote access VPN to be able to access the corporate network through the IPsec tunnel. Okay, let's start our configuration by generating a GlobalProtect certificate for our server authentication. For creating a certificate, first we need to go to the device, and here let's go to the certificate. In the certificate, I have some certificate that I create or generate them before, and also sign them for my other use. For example, here the GUI web cert that is configured here, and this is the certificate that I'm using. You can see that this certificate is valid, and it's signed by NMZ ADCA, the local enterprise certificate server. And also I have the root CA here, that this is the root certificate. You can see here that this is the CA, it's ticked, and it's as a trusted root CA certificate. Now we need to create another CSR and then sign our CSR using the certificate server using this root, and then we will continue in the next step. First, let's go and generate a certificate. For that, I'm just clicking on generate, and here for the certificate name, let's name that GlobalProtect Cert. And for the common name, let's use the 192.168.100.2, and this is the IP address of the outside interface of interface 1x6. Why I'm using this? Because actually when the PC are trying to communicate with the firewall or with the server, in that case it should make sure that this IP address is in the common name. Then we will it will remove any panic or any misunderstanding between the machine and the server, and it will accept the certificate. Then for the sign it by, let's select the external authority CSR. For the encryption algorithm and everything, let it be by default, and let's have some certificate attribute. I'm going to have the organization NMZ, and also organization unit IT, and let's add a DNS. For DNS, I'm again using the same IP address. This too is very important, the DNS and also the IP address. And again, it's because we are going to communicate to the outside interface of our server, and we want this information to be in the certificate, that it will be exchanged between the client and the server. Okay, everything else is okay. Let's generate it. Now the CSR is generated. Let's go and sign our CSR. First, to sign that, let's click it, and then let's export the certificate. It's not a certificate, it's a CSR, and let's Control A, select all, Control C, copy, and now let's go to our certificate server, and here let's request a certificate. Advanced certificate request, and I'm going to submit one in base 64. Let's paste it here, and for the certificate template, let's select the web server. Submit. Now the certificate is signed. Let's go and download that on base 64. Download, save, and for the name, let's use it GlobalProtect Cert. Open folder, and now I have a certificate that is signed with the enterprise certificate server, and the name is GlobalProtect or GP Cert. Let's paste it in our local computer here, and let's go to our Palo Alto Firewall, and let's import the certificate. Import. The certificate name is GP Cert. Make sure that you give the same name that you generate your CSR, and for the certificate, let's select it. Now everything else is okay. Let's click OK, and this is on base. Let's select that on base 64 PIM, and OK. Now our certificate is signed. You can see it just get under the root CS cert. It means that the Palo Alto knows that the certificate is signed with this root CA, and also the status is valid. Now our certificate is created. Next step is to create a SSL TLS profile. SSL TLS profile, actually we need to create one and then attach this certificate to our SSL TLS profile because during the configuration of the gateway and also portal we need that. Let's create one. I'm going to name it GlobalProtect TLS profile, and for the certificate let's select GP Cert, and for the protocol setting from version 1, TLS version 1 to maximum. Actually this is according to the documentation of Palo Alto and the recommendation of best practice to deploying the SSL or TLS service profile. Okay, now our TLS profile is also created. Next step is to create a certificate profile. A certificate profile, let's go to the certificate profile, and here I already have a certificate profile, SRV root cert, and it's already created, and we can use it in our configuration. Then I don't want to create another one. For creating, just add, and we can give a name, and also we need to create our root CA here. This is the root certificate. I already have one. There is no need to create a new one. Then let's go to the next step. In the next step, we need to create our LDAP server profile. This part, the certificate part, actually it was for authenticating between the machine and the server. Now we need to authenticate our client. For authentication the client, we need to provide a username and password, and we should have a database for this username and password to check our credential against that database. Here in the Palo Alto and in this video I'm going to use the Active Directory, and let me show you. This is the AD server, and Active Directory is already installed in this, and I have already some let me show you some user available here in the Active Directory, user and computer. And here in the lab you can see that I have a user named Bob, and it's already available in the Active Directory. We can use that user for authentication. Now let's go and first of all create our LDAP server profile. For creating LDAP profile, we need to change the LDAP service interface. What is this actually? If we go to the device and in the setup, In the third tab, service, we have a service feature here. Let me show you. By default, all the service requests for everything, DNS, email, HTTP, HTTPS, LDAP, TACACS, all this information, all these services by default is pointed to the management interface in Palo Alto. This is my Palo Alto firewall, and all the services is going to be sent to management interface, and I don't have any DHCP server or any LDAP server configured here in the management interface. My LDAP server is configured here, and it's connected to Ethernet 1x1. Then I need to, first of all, I need to change this direction, this route, to tell the Palo Alto for requesting the LDAP, you have to go to interface Ethernet 1x1. For that, let's find the LDAP here, LDAP, and let's use source as a interface Ethernet 1x1, and the IP address of that is 192.168.1.1. okay, and okay. Before doing anything else, I need to commit this because I need to tell the Palo Alto firewall that it should request the LDAP LDAP service from Ethernet 1x1. Then we can go and continue our LDAP configuration. Let's wait for this commit to finish. Then we will come back and continue our LDAP server. Okay, the commit is finished. Now, after changing this service route, let's go and click on device and LDAP. We just changed the LDAP service interface. Now let's create LDAP server profile. For that, on LDAP, let's click add, and first of all we need to give a name. This is Active Directory LDAP, and for the server list we can add as many as server that we have. I have here AD1 only one server, and the IP address of that is 10.10.0.21, and the port for that it's 389. Here let's click untick this one because this is the unsecure port, and I'm not using the SSL TLS secure connection here. For the type, let's select Active Directory, and for the base DN, let me open that. Here you can see DC NMZ and DC local. This two information, actually it comes from the LDAP server here, and that's why I commit the changes because I changed the interface and sent the Palo Alto to the interface 1x1 to receive this information from the LDAP server. And for the bind DN, we need to provide the username for to add to be able to access the LDAP server. I'm using the administrator, and add nmz.local. For the password for administrator, of course in the production environment it's not recommended because we need to create a service username and with as less as possible right according to the requirement, but here I'm just using the administrator as super user. Okay, now the LDAP profile is created. The next step is to create the authentication profile. We are going to use this LDAP profile to authenticate. Then let's go and create an authentication profile. In the authentication profile, in the device authentication profile, add. Let me name that AD authentication. And for the AD authentication, the type is LDAP, and the server profile is the LDAP AD LDAP that we just created before. And for the login attribute, it's SAM, small s AM ACCOUNT with the capital A, capital N, AME. This is the login attribute that is according the Microsoft documentation, because we are using the Microsoft Windows as a LDAP server. It just comes from there. You can read that documentation, but if you want to connect to your LDAP, you need to use this username as a login attribute. And for the domain is nmz.local. And this one, the user modifier, it's the format that we are going to type. For example, I can just use Bob, or I can write Bob user domain. I can Bob nmz.local /Bob, or input user Bob at nmz.local. I'm going to use it simple, just Bob as a username, for example. And for the factor, we can enable two-factor or multi-factor authentication here. And in the advanced, we need to select the users. I'm going to select allow list all user. Okay. Now the authentication profile is also created. In the next step, we need to create a portal. This time, let's go to the network. And in the network, let's go to GlobalProtect and Portal. What is a portal? Actually, portal is a page. It's like a desktop that you can download your required software, like the agent for connecting to GlobalProtect, and also antiviruses, patches, and some other required software to make your machine eligible to connect to the GlobalProtect. Here the portal is same in Palo Alto, and also one thing that it's very important part of this portal is that to select the best gateway. Okay, we will speak about that during our configuration. It will be very clear in that time. Let me click on add. I'm going to create a portal. Let me name that portal 1, and the interface 1/6. When I just enable this interface to use as a portal responder, in that case the firewall will listen to port 443. And every request to this port will be redirected to the portal. And it means that if you have any other services, like for example management, interface management, or HTTPS or something, in that case it will not be worked. Then you need to use some loopback or something for it. But for now, I just enable 1/6 as a portal, and then let's select the IP address of that interface. Next is authentication. In the authentication, let's first of all select the SSL TLS service profile that we GlobalProtect TLS profile we just created before. It's for server authentication, and for client authentication we need to add. I'm going to name it AD users, and for the OS let's choose any, but of course we can open and change many different OS that we have here. Make sure that if you select Windows here, it's a portal. We need to communicate to this portal using a browser. If I select user Windows, in that case it will not match to this condition. It's the browser is not a Windows, and it will not give you access to the portal. Because of that, let's select any here, or at least we can use a browser in this case. And for the authentication profile, let's select AD authentication, and anything else is okay. This is just a label to show how to show the portal for typing username and password. Okay. Next step is portal data connection. I'm not going to connect any data here, and I don't have license for this. This is evaluation license. Next step is the agent. The agent is the actual application that will be used to connect to the corporate network, and we need to create one here. Let me name that agent 1. And for the configuration config criteria, we can actually choose many different criteria to allow the user to connect to the portal and to the GlobalProtect. Here you can see it's any is selected, but of course we can select many different OS that according our requirement, but let's use it any. And also for the user and user group, of course we can select it here. Device check, we can check serial number or some other information of the device. And also custom check, in this case it will be very specific to something very specific inside the machine to check, and if it's matched, then we can let it to connect to the GlobalProtect. And also we can create an internal or external gateway. Here I'm just trying to create an external gateway. Let's create a gateway. For the gateway, let's assume that we have 3 different gateways. Palo Alto Firewall 1, Firewall 2, and one other firewall, Firewall 3. And when a user trying to connect to the, for example, Firewall 3, it should go to the IP address of, for example, 3.3.3.3. Which users we can select it here. For example, when the user is in the US and they want to connect to the GlobalProtect, they should redirect to IP address 3.3.3.3, and that is connected to Firewall 3, and it has the higher priority. But if the user are, for example, in Brazil, in this case, if they try to access, I want this user as the low priority for this gateway. Let's save it. Now let's create another one. For example, Firewall 2 is in Brazil, and the IP address of Firewall 2 is 2.2.2.2. In this case, if a user in Brazil trying to access the network, it should add the highest priority, and if the user is in the US, in that case it should ask the low priority to connect to this gateway. Okay, now we have 2 gateway here, Firewall 2 and Firewall 3. Firewall 2 is in the Brazil, and the people in the Brazil has the highest priority to connect to that, and Firewall 3 is in the US, and people in US has the highest priority to connect to this one. But if any of this firewall or this gateway is down, then of course the user in Brazil has the low priority to connect with this firewall, but at least they have this priority and they can connect. For here in our demonstration, our lab, actually I don't have this 2 gateway here. The only gateway that is available is 192.168.100.0. Then let's create another gateway to make sure that our network will be connected. I'm going to use it Firewall 1, and the IP address of that is 192.168.100.2. This is the IP address, and the people who are in the range of 192.168, yes, this is here, and the people who are in the range of 192.168.0.0 to this should ask the highest priority to connect to this gateway. Let's save it. I just make it because here this PC has the IP address 192.168 and it's not connected to any public IP address. If I try from here to communicate, first the Palo Alto will try to match it to one of these two, and because it's not actually, this two is not available first, and second, this PC doesn't have any public IP address. In that case, it will not be connected. Because of that, I just create this one, and of course this user will match to in this range and will connect to this gateway. For the app and also for HIP data collection, we are not going to speak about this. This one is data collection. You from the name you can know that, and I don't have any license for this. Let's just okay. Now our agent is also created, and for the trusted root CA, we can add our SRV root cert and force it. If the user doesn't have this certificate, it should download to their PC and install. For the currentless VPN and satellite, we are not going to configure anything there, and they need license for Palo Alto. Let's OK this. Now the portal is created. Let's go and create our gateway. Here in the list, the next step is to creating the gateway. For creating gateway, we need a tunnel interface because we are going to use the IPsec tunnel. Then let's go to the interface. Let's go to the tunnel and create a tunnel here. Add. I'm going to name that tunnel 90. We cannot give a name, just a number. And for the information, we are going to add that to the router 1 as a main router, and also in the inside network. You know that when we have the interfaces in the same security zone, in that case that interface can communicate to each other. For example, the tunnel 90 is an interface inside, and also if I go to the Ethernet, you can see Ethernet 1 and 2, both of them are in the security zone inside. Then they can communicate to each other without requiring any policy, any security policy. And here let's go to the policy. You can see that the intrazone by default is allowed. It means that all user in the same, all the interfaces in the same security zone can communicate with each other using this policy. But interzone, of course, they are denied. It means that user from outside, from two different security zone cannot communicate with each other without security policy. Okay, now get back to the network, and our tunnel is created. Next, let's go and create our gateway. Add. For the gateway, let me name that firewall 1, and I'm going to create only one gateway. In the portal, I just create 3 different gateway, but 2 of them is not available physically. Actually, I just create them for a demo, but one of them, the Ethernet 1x6, the this IP address, Ethernet 1x6. This IP address, actually this is available, and we are going to create that. Okay, let's select our network setting for interface Ethernet 1x6 as a gateway, and in the authentication, again let's select our GlobalProtect TLS profile, and for the client authentication, let's add, and we need to create it. I'm going to name it again AD users. You can see that this configuration in the gateway and also portal is almost same. And now let's go for the user. Of course, we can select what kind of the OS operating system we can, and also for the authentication profile, let's select our AD authentication. Okay, and in the agent here, let's select the tunnel mode. We are going to use the tunnel, and let's select our tunnel 90. Also for the GlobalProtect IPsec crypto, it's actually in the list. We need to create one, but by default one is available. A default crypto IPsec crypto is already available in the Palo Alto, and we can use that. There is no problem. Let's use this default, and for the client setting we need to add here again. Let's name that Windows users. Let's assume that we have Windows user, we have Linux user, we have iOS user, and we want to separate them, and we want them to separately authenticate. In that case, I'm just here selecting the Windows user, and for the source user any, but for the OS, let's select Windows here, for example, and region and IP address, everything same. For the authentication override, let it be by default. We are not going to use anything. And for the IP pool, let's create a pool for this PC. You know that when we are going to connect to a remote access VPN, we need a logical a virtual NIC card, and that virtual NIC card needs an IP address. Here I'm going to assign that 10.99.0.11 to 10.99.0.100. This is almost 90 IP address that will be assigned to our user. And also for the split tunneling, here you know what is a split tunneling. For example, this user wants to access email inside the corporate network. Of course, its traffic will be routed through the IPsec tunnel between the client and the server. But if the user required to access for example to YouTube, in that case it doesn't need to go to the corporate network and access the YouTube from here. It can directly go to the internet, to the public internet, and use that YouTube without consuming any bandwidth inside the IPsec tunnel. Then let's assign IP address here. That is 10.10.0.0. The range 10 is all inside the corporate network, and anything except this will be excluded, and it will be routed outside of the IPsec tunnel. And for the network service, we can as a DNS server here, 8.8.8.8 as a DNS server. Okay. Next, let's go to the client IP pool. We just assign it, and also for the network service, of course, here it's same. We can use the the DNS here, same, primary and secondary DNS, and also the connection setting. It's all about the timing, which time that you are going to let the people to connect, and for how many hours, and so on. Video traffic, again, it's something like a split tunneling, and we can exclude the video from the IPsec tunnel to save actually the bandwidth. And HIP notification, this is also required the license, and I'm not going to use it, and also for the satellite. Now let's our gateway is also created. Let me name it firewall. Okay, I cannot change the name now. The name of that is firewall 1, and it's a gateway. Let's save it, and then we can go and verify. Commit and commit. If everything is okay, the commit will be finished, but if we made maybe some mistakes here, then it will give us a message. Let's wait for this to see if the commit is finished, and during this time let's go and make our PC ready. I'm going to start this PC. Let's wait for this to boot. It's Windows 10, and then we can verify our configuration. And one thing that we can do here during our waiting for this commit, and also for booting our Windows, let's go and try to authenticate our user. We create a LDAP profile, and also we create a authentication profile, and here we can make sure that our authentication actually is working between the Palo Alto and the Active Directory. For that, let's access 192.168.10.20. This is the IP address of the Palo Alto Firewall, and I'm going to access its CLI interface and run a command and try to authenticate between the Palo Alto and also the Active Directory to make sure that this authentication is working. Let's wait for this to come. Okay, now let's type the username admin and the password. Okay, now test our user. To test that, test authentication, then authentication profile. We are going to test our user against this authentication profile, that this is AD authentication, and the username Bob and password. Here we need to press enter and let's type the password for Bob. If everything is okay, we should see the steps for the authentication for username Bob against the LDAP server. Let's see what result we will receive here. Okay, the authentication is succeed, and you can see here the egress is 192.168.1.1, the interface that we just redirect the service request to the LDAP server, and also type of authentication plain text, and here you can see starting the LDAP connection succeeded to create the LDAP server, and also here you can see the CN name Bob, OU organization unit lab, and also for DC and DC NMZ and local, and authentication is succeed. It means our authentication profile and also LDAP server is okay, and we can at least we can authenticate. Now let's go and check here. Let me see, the commit is actually successful. Let's go and test and verify our connection. Let me bring the PC here. Okay, first let's go and try to access the portal that we just configured before. I'm going to access it through the Chrome browser. Okay, let's type https .192.168.100.2. This is the outside IP address of our GlobalProtect portal, and here you can see that I'm just receiving the message. That is because I don't have the certificate installed on this PC. Let's go and install the root certificate here. This is the root CA. Copy and paste it here. Right click and install. Let's install the certificate in the root CA, and then we should be able to browse that page without problem. Okay, I'm just selecting the this custom certificate store, and here I'm going to put that in the trusted root CA authority. Okay, next, finish. Yes, and import is successful. Now the root CA is installed here. Let's go and refresh our page. This time we should see the page without any privacy error message. Okay, this time you can see that after installing the certificate, we can browse this page without problem, and when I click on the connection, you can see the connection is secure and the certificate is valid. And this is the information about the certificate that is issued by NMZ ADCA. Okay, now let's log in with username Bob and the password of Bob in the Active Directory. If everything is okay, we should be redirected to a page and we should be able to download the GlobalProtect agent. And here you can see that I can download the GlobalProtect agent, 32-bit, 64-bit, and also for the Mac. And this page actually is by default, and of course we can customize this according to our requirement. I already installed the GlobalProtect here in this PC. Let's go and try to connect it. This is the GlobalProtect that it's already downloaded and installed. Let's get started, and the IP address 192.168.100.2. This is the outside IP address of my firewall. The username Bob and the password for Bob, and connect. If everything is okay, we should be connected to the GlobalProtect server, and here you can see that it's trying to find the best available gateway and select it according our configuration that we did it before. And you can see here it's just selected the firewall 1 gateway, and if I click on this and on the setting, you can see I have some information here. The first one is the assigned IP address, the IP address that I selected in the pool, and also the uptime, here the gateway, and the gateway location. It doesn't have any location about that because it's in the private network and it's not connected to the public. And one thing else, let's go and try to ping our DHCP server or our Active Directory to make sure that we are connected. That is 10.10.0.21. This is the IP address of the server, this server here, and now I'm pinging it from this site through the PC. To make sure that this ping is going through the tunnel, let's just try to run a trace RT 10.10.0.21, and it should go directly to the switch. And yes, you can see it just go to the firewall and it doesn't give any trace here in the firewall. And next step, you can see it just get to 192.168.1.2, and it's IP address here, a gateway. Let me show you. Show IP interface brief. And it's the IP address 192.168.1.2. It's the IP address of VLAN 10. It is between the Palo Alto firewall and also switch. The 192.168.1.1 is configured in the Palo Alto firewall, and then it will go to 10.10.0.21, and that is the IP address of the server, and it's connected to VLAN 1. The gateway is 10.10.0.1. Okay, I believe we just covered everything about GlobalProtect here in this video, and our configuration was correct, and we successfully verify our configuration. Of course, it has some other options and some tuning. You can do it according to your requirement. But for now, let's finish our video here. Thank you for your watching, and see you in the next video soon.